Number 10 is going to be the logo. The original Cartoon Network logo had nothing wrong with it, with its black and white checkerboard design. This thing was firmly planted in our brains at childhood. Why Cartoon Network would decide to change it out of nowhere, I'll never know. Considering that Cartoon Network has become a shadow of its former self, the least they could do is give us something to remind us of the glory days. Number 9. Ditching the 3D Cartoon City. That Cartoon City around 2004-2005 was one of the most unique things anyone had ever seen on a network, let alone a network based solely on cartoons, with multiple cartoons characters living within the city. When Cartoon Network dumped that, that was another sign of deja vu. We had already seen greatness being thrown away once, why would we want to see it being thrown away again? Number 8. Losing the contract with Hanna-Barbera Productions. For those who don't remember, Hanna-Barbera was the company that created the What a Cartoon Show and spawned the 8 original cartoons. When the contract with the company went, the cartoons slowly followed. Number 7. Bumpers. For those who may not know, bumpers are those little animations you'll see telling you what's going to be on now, later, and possibly in the next hour. They were commonly shown in between commercial breaks in between the shows, and would consist of a couple goofy-looking characters with a blue background, always with that black and white checkerboard design. They were interesting because they followed the theme of Cartoon Network. Slowly those faded away, and we were given the dumbest thing ever. Those nudes, those little bowling pin thing that you would throw ink at and they would turn into the characters. Who okayed that? What was wrong with the old bumpers? They could show them today and it would be considered classic because of the style they were done in. Who do you think did them? Hanna-Barbera. Number 6. Boomerang. Now, hold on. Just roll with me on this one. Why would I think Boomerang is a dumb move? It's actually not. Boomerang is one of the best things Cartoon Network ever did, back then and today. Back then, it showed older cartoons from the 40s and 50s like Popeye and Looney Tunes. It was great for your parents to watch if they wanted to reminisce a little bit. And today, it shows the cartoons. Why would I have any problem with that? Here's the main problem. Not everyone gets it. That's just taunting you. If you dangled the old Cartoon Network in front of my face, and then when I went to grab it, you pulled it away and threw it in a fire for me to never be able to retrieve, that would be Boomerang in my location. It is truly unfair that there's plenty of people who do get Boomerang and can satisfy themselves with these older shows. Some of us can't. And, yeah. It sucks. Number 5. The cancellation of Toonami. Toonami was a block that ran on Saturdays and mostly showed anime shows. Right there. That's a clue. Do not cancel this block. People are going to like it. And we did. Everyone loved it. That was where you got to see Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, that dumb Duel Masters ripoff of Yu-Gi-Oh!, and stuff like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Bleach. This is where we could see all that stuff. Granted, you can still see Bleach on Adult Swim, but at the time, the only way to see these shows in American was if you watched Toonami. And it was a huge hit with the classic bumpers featuring that robot Tom. The futuristic computer style thing they would use to launch all the shows. It was really something to get kids excited for on a Saturday night. So what happened? They canceled it. Of course. Next. Number 4. Importing Canadian shows. This was something that Cartoon Network recently did that was one of their biggest mistakes. Cartoon Network made themselves great by creating their own animations. That's what made them stand out from the crowd. They made their own stuff, and everyone loved them for it. Why would you, with that in mind, import something from another country? Especially when the stuff you imported is terrible. A lot of these Canadian shows tend to have the same problem. The humor is very dry. The animation is blocky and unappealing. And third, Nobody's heard of this stuff. So no one can be drawn in with popular names, with the exception of Johnny Test, which used to be, I believe, on the Disney Channel. And you still, to this day, air these shows that nobody likes. How about creating some new stuff? I mean, you sort of did something like that with Cartoon Institute, but nothing really good came out of that. Can you please do us a favor here? Just start creating stuff. We don't want stuff imported. We want new, exciting ideas. That's what came from the Cartoon Show. I'm sorry, the What a Cartoon Show. And it gave us the 8 original cartoons. We want more of that. We don't want carbon copies. We just want new stuff. Number 3. Cartoon Fridays. What have you done with your Friday lineup? I cannot even imagine something being worse than fried dynamite. I watched that one time. That was all I needed to start being done with this network. Fried Dynamite consisted of a bunch of 8-year-old kids jumping around thinking they were cartoon characters and apparently thinking they were funny when they weren't. What did Cartoon Fridays had? What did it have? It had every single character from all the shows every week. It had a different character from each show hosting it each week. It had that classic announcer that would communicate with the audience and with the host. And it had that Fridays disc that would fly around and commonly hit the characters. That was funny. That was just that whole experience. From that 7 o'clock lineup all the way up until midnight. Every week. All throughout elementary school for me. That right there defined Cartoon Network. That showed you what Cartoon Network was all about. Just cartoons. That's all they were about, was cartoons and giving you quality entertainment. And then it all faded away. Hell, I even got a kick out of that Cartoon Fridays when the adults were hosting it. Those live-action adults were hosting it. Yeah, you can send me hate mail all you want. I actually thought that was kind of decent. But nothing will top Cartoon Fridays. And until we get something like that again, a Friday lineup from Cartoon Network is never going to be the same. Number 2, live action. You have a network known as Cartoon Network. So you destroy all reputation for your own channel's name by producing live action shows. Well, hey, maybe they're good. What do we have? We have The Othersiders, ripoff of Ghost Hunters. We have Survive This, ripoff of Survivors. But then we have stuff like Destroy, Build, Destroy. Are you serious? What kind of ADD kid are you trying to appeal to? Destroy, Build, Destroy. For those who don't understand what this show is, all the show is a bunch of kids. They build sort of like a car. From what I've seen, they'll build like vehicles. Then they'll race them, and the winner gets to decide how the other one gets demolished. And then they rebuild it again and just do it in an endless loop. How is this supposed to be entertaining? First of all, it's not even a cartoon. Second, there is no plot. There is no story. This is not a show. This is just mindless violence. If I wanted mindless violence with no plot and nothing going for it, I'd watch the WWE. And the number 1 worst move by Cartoon Network is no more original programming. Cartoon Network built themselves up. They put themselves on the map solely with their original programming because it wasn't anywhere else. You couldn't see this stuff anywhere else. You wanted to watch Ed, Edd n Eddy, you went to Cartoon Network. You wanted to watch Mike, Lou, and Og, you went to Cartoon Network. Dexter's Lab, Cartoon Network. Courage the Cowardly Dog, Cartoon Network. Johnny Bravo, Cartoon Network. It was all in one spot because Cartoon Network made this stuff themselves. They owned it. They produced it and they raised it. And then all of a sudden they just stopped. They stopped with the original programming. They started airing this Canadian crap that I talked about earlier. No one wants to see that. Show us some new stuff. Here's the stuff we don't want, Cartoon Network. Listen up. We don't want Canadian shows. We don't want live action. What we want from you, we need you to get back the Hanna-Barbera contract in any way you can. Just get some of the old animators to come back. Have them make new shows. 8 new cartoons. And let that be what brings Cartoon Network back up to the top. Put back the old logo. Give us back the older bumpers with the unique animation style of Hanna-Barbera. Don't give us this half-assed crap where you throw ink at a bowling pin. That's weak, Cartoon Network. That's weak. So all you have to do is just stick to your guns. Do what you say you used to do. Cartoons. You remember back in the 90s, you used to be called the best place for cartoons. You were the best place for cartoons. I find myself watching Nicktoons Network because they are more loyal to me than you are. And I've watched you since I was 4. You've let a lot of people down, Cartoon Network. All you have to do to make things right is get back Hanna-Barbera. Because that's what made you great. That's what made you Cartoon Network. And that's what made you not the utter suckage that you are today.